Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason, and today we're gonna continue the Proverbs series and read chapter 23. So let's get started. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle towards heaven. Do not eat the bread of a man who is stingy. Do not desire his delicacies, for he is like one who is inwardly calculating. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You will vomit up the morsel that you have eaten, and waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. Do not move an ancient landmark or enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is strong. He will plead their cause against you. Apply your heart to instructions and your ear to the words of knowledge. Yeah? That's my cat. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. If you strike him with the rod, you will save his soul from Sheol. My son, if your heart is wise, my heart too will be glad. My inmost being will exult when your lips speak with what is right. Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue in the fear of the Lord all the day. Surely there is a future, and your hope will not be cut off. Hear, my son, and be wise, and direct your heart in the way. Be not among drunkards, or among gluttonous eaters of meat. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags. Listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Buy truth, and do not sell it. Buy wisdom, instruction, and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways. For a prostitute is a deep pit, and an adulteress is a narrow well. She lies in wait like a robber, and increase the traitors among mankind. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has strife? Who has complaining? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who tarry long over wine, those who go to try mixed wine. Do not look at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup and goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a serpent and stings like an adder. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things. You will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, like one who lies on top of a mass. They struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake? I must have another drink. Alright, so that's the end of chapter 23. So I got several verses that I like to speak about. Alright, so the first two verses. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite. So this speaks to me, because like I said, I love eating food, junk food, and I just think about, okay, when's my next meal? And so the Lord has helped me. I had a gastric sleeve surgery, so I can't eat as much, and He's continuing to teach me not to. So I used to eat sunflowers all the time. I could just binge eat sunflower seeds while watching TV, and I started doing that after surgery. But because they're so small, I feel that I'm full, but I'll just keep doing it. So he got me out of that. And then I know this is like last. So we just recently came through the holiday season, the Christmas season, right? So there's that delicacies like cookies and pie and all those great food, all those sweets and cupcakes and cakes and then you have turkey and mashed potatoes with gravy and so all those delicacies that you're seeing and you're just I call your eyes are bigger than your stomach and you just and I fell prey to that too this this Christmas season, and I realized I had to stop, and so I went over to my friend and mentor's Ed's house for Christmas to eat. Well, it was more lunch, but that was my dinner. To eat dinner, and they had cookies and cheese and crackers. I like cheese, and my grandma. I managed to convince my grandma to come, and she brought a cherry pie, and there was apple pies, and so I ate the food that they had, but I stayed away from the desserts because after I ate that food, and I didn't even snack before that because before we left, my grandma was like, "Hey, you want some cheese and crackers?" I'm like, "No, I can't eat that because I wouldn't be able to eat at my friend's Ed because my stomach is just." They said it's basically a size of a banana, so I can't eat much anyways. And if I do that, that's overindulging, and I'm back to where I used to be being a glutton. So yeah, and I got out of sunflower seeds recently, and I went back to it, and then I got back because I was when I first started work, I was stressing because I'm like, I want something to do because you gotta wait and you gotta do training and I wanted to start working, so I was stressing, and so I was eating with sunflower seeds, and eventually, you know, I'm just sitting in my chair, just eating, watching YouTube, other pastors, and something, and I felt being full, and I'm like, so I just, something in me just saying, stop what you're doing, and so I stopped and I just threw it all away. But yeah, so those two verses spoke to me from my past and from recently what I've done. So verse 12, apply your heart to instruction and hear the words of knowledge. Again, there it is again. So in the last chapter, last chapter, 22, verse 17. Incline your ear and hear my words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge. So it's saying it again. Apply your heart to instruction and your ear to words of knowledge. So to me, that's saying apply your heart to the instructions that you're reading from this book, and then hear the words of knowledge, the wisdom that's coming off these pages in the Bible. And then verse 13. Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you strike him with a rod, he will not die. So, just one day my grandma told me she was in Food Line, and she was looking at the magazines, and the magazines, right by the magazines, they have a bunch of lollipops, and so when she finally got to the cash register person to check out, the lady's like, yeah, don't get those lollipops, because what happens is the children will go and suck on them and see if they like the flavor and then put it back, and the parents don't do anything. So I'm not trying to say to go hit and beat your rod, but that's not right. I'm saying if you see your child doing something wrong, have some type of discipline. I know today's society we don't hit, but you still need to discipline your child. So yeah, still continue to discipline your child. Don't hit. All right. So verse 17. Let not your heart envy sinners, but continue to fear the Lord all the day. So, you may have like friends or something, and you're seeing them, they're going out partying, drinking, having fun, but they're living in a life of sin. So don't envy that, because right now they're in the life of death. So continue to fear the Lord all day. You know what's right, so continue to do that. Continue to do that. So don't envy the sinners. In fact, pray for them. Pray for God to help them with their salvation, and maybe speak to them and say, and then try to. I know it can be difficult, because I need to learn how to speak about the gospel, but try to speak to them about Jesus. But yeah, don't envy sinners, because like other verses in Proverbs says that is the way to death, and they're in the flesh, they're in the world, they're in death. But we just pray for their salvation, pray for God, pray for Jesus to bring them back out of their sinful life. All right, so So the last section was really good, verse 29 through 35. And it's about, so to me it's about addiction. And that is speaking about alcohol addiction, but it can also go with, like for me, was food. I was addicted to food. Or someone, and it could go with being addicted to drugs like marijuana or whatever. So that did speak to me. Like for me, it was food. It could be alcohol too. But the verse. So verse 33. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart utter perverse things. So what happens when you're drinking alcohol or even taking drugs? You're allowing you're allowing the enemy to come in. You're basically inviting them in, because it opens up. I think I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physician, but I believe it's a frontal lobe. It opens up your frontal lobe where you're more perceptive to being deceived. So that's why, and then since you're more perceptive to be deceived, and those unclean spirits want you to continue to do it, so that way they have a stronghold on you. You're gonna. So verse 35. They struck me, you will say, but I was not hurt. They beat me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake? I must have another drink. So I must have another drink. That's where that addiction is. That's where you're addicted to alcohol, food, and other drugs. And it could be something else, or you may be addicted to women, where you're chasing after women. So yeah, I think that spoke to, the things that we're addicted to, and doesn't have to be alcohol, but it could be something else. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed chapter 23 of Proverbs. Let me know in the comments below which verse in chapter 23 spoke to you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Share this video. And keep on reading, my friends.